Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is Skaggy Bones with another video for you today. And we got something, it should be a short video for you today, but just have something to show y'all. As you saw in the last how-to video where we replaced all the stem bolts, which we have here in this package. So I'm going to pop this guy open, show you the old stem bolts that we replaced. We ordered some stainless steel. I'm sorry, not stainless steel. We replaced the old rusted up stem bolts, but we hadn't replaced the top cap bolt, and this was the old top cap bolt. It was just standard steel. It's not stainless steel or anything like that. It looks slightly, no, it's not even galvanized. It's just a polished steel. And even stainless steel tends to corrode if you give it a long enough. It will get some rust on it. It's just the fact that the rust will rub off easier. If you can see here. This is a stainless steel bolt here. But if you get enough water in that top portion, eventually it'll rust a little bit. It's just stainless steel tends to be a little bit more preventive. Okay, to rusting. Here's the old top cap. As you can see, you can see right here where it started to indent itself. I don't know if you can see right here. See, it started to weaken up a little bit right in here. The paint has started to chip a little bit. This still works. This top cap still works. It's just I had accidentally over torqued this, tightened down on it. Inside the fork here, inside the carbon fiber fork about this level is a insert, and it's a compression insert, and that's what you screw the top bolt, compression bolt, into. But like we had said in previous do-it-yourself, we had taken all these. We got a replacement kit for all these screws. These are the old screws. I can't really see them through the bag that much, but they have some rust on them and corrosion. They start to get pitted, everything. These are just the original screws, and so they started to look pretty bad. So I wanted to replace them. So I got a new set. Came with six bolts for the stem. So as you can see here, we replaced all the front 4 bolts and the back bolts with some titanium bolts, which will never corrode. They will never rust, and they're better than you don't want aluminum bolts. Aluminum bolts will break. They just won't hold. So steel is the best, but the problem is steel, you still have aluminum parts, so the steel is going to rust. Aluminum, like I said, you just don't want those because you can break them and strip them out pretty easily. So I got this top cap kit, which came with this zip top cap, and it came with this stainless steel bolt. And the reason I got the kit instead of just getting a plain top cap, and as you can see here, this is the old one, and it's a countersunk style. So you have that beveling in there, and the bolt itself is countersunk, and what happens is the bolt sits inside this top cap like that, and it sits flush. If I was to use a grab this other one, if I was to use a flat top bolt inside the top cap, the bolt would stick out and it wouldn't grip properly, and then you just break the top cap. So to use the titanium bolts that came with it, I had to buy a special top cap. Sorry. The problem is the top cap was deeper than this one by probably about 1 millimeter. Okay, and just deeper, not by a whole lot. And this material here is about 1.5 millimeters thicker. So what happened is I didn't have enough. I had too much space in between the top cap and these spacers. So even when I tightened the top cap down all the way, there's too much space, and this was loose. So what I had to do is, you may have remembered in one of the other previous videos that when I installed this K-Edge computer mount, I had to take out a single spacer. So what I did is I pulled that spacer, and then originally I had this. I had a short spacer here. I had the K-Edge down here. I had a big spacer on top, and two small spacers on the top portion. Okay, so I still had these three spacers on top. It was just I was missing one of these spacers down here. So in fact this was down here, and then I had the red. I had this down here, then red, and then black on the top, and I had a short black one on the top. So what I did is I had to add one more spacer. So I took and I could have put this big spacer down at the bottom, but since I only have one large spacer, I put two small spacers down at the bottom. I put the K-Edge mount here, and then I could have put the large spacer down here, but the problem is one of these spacers would have been off the edge of the carbon fiber stem, and so it would have been just rattling around, and it would have been a little bit loose in here. Well, not loose, I could have tightened it down, but it could have slid all the way over. So now the top cap goes down into it and kind of holds it in place, but it would have had a tiny bit of, not play, but when I screwed it in, it could have been either farther up this way or farther down this way, a little offset. So what I did is I put the large one at the top, so that, because where the carbon fiber portion comes to is right in here, right about this spot on this spacer. So it comes about halfway up the middle of it. Okay, so it comes into right about here. So in reality, do I need this full spacer? No, I need a third one of these, and I would need a spacer that was just barely bigger than this one of these smaller spacers to be able to do it. Okay, so this, if I cut off probably about 1 millimeter there, would actually be more perfect, but because I don't have, they either make these small spacers or the ones that are twice the size, they don't have anything in between, so I have to use this. I don't really have a choice, and I don't want to have two spacers. I don't want to have a bunch of small spacers. So that's what I did. I put the bigger spacer on top. As you can see, this fits perfect. This bottom spacer down here, this bottom black spacer, it's the one that actually says to be on top, but this large black spacer is just as thick, so it sits perfectly on the top portion. And then I put that on top, then put the top cap on, bolted on. So it has a little bit taller rise. Like I said, the K-Edge mount was down one of these small spacers down farther. So it still sits, the K-Edge computer, and the computer still sits the same amount from the top, but it's a little bit higher up from the stem itself. So not really that bad. It doesn't really look any different. You can't really tell, except for me telling you what I had to do to it, but that's how I had to do that. So just be aware, if you ever have to do this like I did, where you're replacing the bolts and you have a countersunk top bolt and cap, which you may not, it just depends what kind of bicycle you have, and you have to order one of these kits like this, just make sure you order a new top cap. And possibly, if you're not using one of these mounts like this, a spacer mount, just order one extra spacer, because if I didn't have this K-Edge in here, I would have had to order a secondary. I would have still had to order another spacer. Okay, so that's a little tip for you guys there. The video wasn't too long, about 10 minutes, but hopefully that gives you some brief information and kind of the update on getting all the titanium bolts in the headset that we wanted to. So that's it for me today, folks. And make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section and give us a thumbs up as well. And see you in the next video.